She has been using her being a high-risk pregnancy against Ken. They don't live together. He's not staying at Christy's house like he was before, but she is definitely holding that baby over Ken's head. Because we know she's a grifter. She always has to be the victim.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard thought that getting pregnant and having a baby was going to water down her public image and make her more likable, and it's done the exact opposite. So many people are concerned about the unborn baby and Gypsy's overall mental stability to take care of a child for good reason. Not only because she unalived her own mother, but because she displays blatant characteristic traits of a narcissistic person, and she also displays some antisocial personality characteristics.
Drama, secrets, and a bombshell twist. Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Ken's relationship just took a jaw-dropping turn. And trust me, this saga is only getting messier. If you thought their story had hit peak chaos, think again, because the latest revelation is flipping the script and leaving everyone in shock. For weeks, rumors of a breakup have been swirling like wildfire, with fans dissecting everything from social media clues to awkward body language during their rare public appearances. The consensus? Trouble in paradise, with many assuming the pair was headed for Splitsville. But here's the kicker. Despite all the breakup buzz, Gypsy and Ken are still popping up together at family events. So, what's the deal? Why are they sticking it out? Well, it seems like one of the reasons is the fact that Gypsy is pregnant with Ken's baby. This pregnancy has forged an unbreakable connection between the two, whether they're ready for it or not. The second reason might allegedly be a contract, so they stay or pretend to be in a relationship together until there are no more seasons to film. So most people are speculating that Ken is being anchored down in the relationship because of the up-and-coming baby, and for the fact that he has no other source of income other than through Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And just when you think you figured it out, the plot thickens. Insiders are speculating that Gypsy knows exactly how this pregnancy shifts the power dynamic and might be using it to keep Ken in her orbit. Is this a calculated move to lock down their relationship, or are we missing a piece of the puzzle?
They are filming right now for the next season of Life After Lockup, Love After Lockup, whatever it is. He is currently in a contract to finish out filming, which means that even if he wanted to leave, he couldn't, because if he broke the contract, he would then be having to pay Lifetime back for millions and millions of dollars, whatever he signed the contract for. So he is contractually bound to stay with her until the filming is over. Not only is he contractually bound, but I think that he is hanging on because he wants to see if this baby is actually his. And I think he is beginning to be very resentful of Gypsy because he feels trapped. But I also fear that he is trying to be protecting of this unborn child, because everyone knows that this woman, Gypsy, has unalived her own mother, so she cannot be trusted. You would want to run too, right? But then you feel like you can't because this person is holding on to something that could be biologically yours, and you want to protect that being because you fear that this person is dangerous. I think Ken is also starting to realize that a lot of these health issues that Gypsy had previously before going into prison are starting to reappear, and that seems just a little bit fishy, right?
Is Ken sticking around because of love? Or is it all about the baby? Let's be honest. If there wasn't a baby in the picture, Ken might not be so invested. But now, with a lifelong connection through their child, Ken and Gypsy are undeniably tied together. And when you dig deeper, this situation gets even more intriguing. When Gypsy and Ken rekindled their romance, she wasted no time proclaiming that he was the one. But actions speak louder than words, and Gypsy didn't just talk. She acted fast. Less than a month after their reunion, she was already pregnant. Coincidence? Highly doubtful. It seems like a calculated move to lock in her bond with Ken, ensuring there's no easy way for him to walk away.
Not only did I call Ken 2 weeks before the wedding, but the conversation that Ken and I had, I was honest with Ryan about it. I asked Ken, I said, if you don't want me to get married, then you need to tell me now.
And what he told you?
And he told me that I want you to do what makes you happy. I think you should wait. But he didn't say wait for me. If he would have said wait for me,
you wouldn't.
Now compare this to her past relationship with Ryan Anderson, and the contrast couldn't be more obvious. Gypsy dated Ryan for 3 months, but was doing everything in her power to avoid pregnancy. On her reality show Life After Lockup, she even admitted to using Plan B, following her sister Mia's advice to dodge any lasting ties with Ryan. Cautious and uninterested, Gypsy made it crystal clear she wasn't looking for anything permanent with him.
a couple days ago, I went to the bedroom, woke Ryan up. I said, I need to tell you something. He said, half asleep. I said, I miss Ken.
He must have woke up quick.
He did, and he was like, you need to let that go. You need to let him go. You are married. And I'm like, I know I am, but I think that we both need to come to terms with the fact that I have 2 men in my heart, and he's still there in my heart. This is the day before Valentine's Day, too.
Despite marrying Ryan while still behind bars, the relationship was never destined for a fairy tale ending. Starting a family, not even close to being on the horizon. Instead, their marriage seemed rooted in practicality, a way for Gypsy to find emotional support during the isolation of incarceration. Ryan appeared to be more of a stand-in, filling the gap rather than being a true life partner. But once Gypsy was released, everything shifted. Ryan went from being her emotional crutch to more of a public buffer, a shield from the outside world. That is, until Ken, her ex-fiancé, swooped back into the picture, and then, well, it all unraveled fast.
So, granted, I understand that I broke Ryan's heart. I left the marriage. I was not a good wife. I could totally admit where I'm wrong in that situation. But I did file for divorce. I did go ahead and make that separation legally. And then got with Ken. And I'm happy. I'm happy in my life, and I want Ryan to be happy. There are very few times that I'm on live and I go off on about Ryan. Blah, 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 blah. I don't do all that. Now, when I'm asked in interviews about him, I always say the truth. I always say, hey, I hope he's healing. I hope he's doing well. I want good intentions for him. But that's that. That's it. I do feel like all he does is talk about me and his lives, and it is frustrating because it's like you do have your own life going on, so why don't you talk about like your life? And so it's kind of one of those things that like he can talk about me all he wants, and people praise that, and people are okay with that, but I can't even shoot one shot at it at all.
Ken's return was a game changer, flipping Gypsy's priorities almost overnight. There wasn't any hesitation. Her energy pivoted immediately from Ryan to Ken, almost as if she'd been waiting for this moment all along. The realization seemed to hit hard. Ryan wasn't the one, and Gypsy wasted no time making that crystal clear. She quickly voiced her dissatisfaction with the marriage, pushing for a divorce as her focus zeroed in on reconnecting with Ken. And let's be real, it was bold, calculated, and unapologetic. Gypsy wasn't about to let anything stand in her way.
Y'all, this is crazy. Gypsy Rose Blanchard files temporary restraining order amid divorce from husband. Gypsy Rose Blanchard filed for divorce from her husband, Ryan Anderson, on April 8th. Attorneys for Blanchard filed the restraining order in the 17th Judicial District Court in Louisiana. On April 8th, People confirmed Blanchard filed for divorce from Anderson, a Louisiana special education teacher. Per the documents, Blanchard is also requesting Anderson to pay interim and long-term spousal support because Blanchard is in need and defendant has ability to pay, and she is not at fault for the dissolution of marriage. She is also asking the court to deny spousal support to him from her per the document. So spousal support is basically ongoing financial support that one ex-spouse is required to provide the other. There are many different factors that come into play when determining this amount and which spouse gets what, some of which include each spouse's income, the earning ability of each spouse, if they purchased a home together, how long the marriage lasted, if there are children involved, and the standard of living each spouse enjoyed during the marriage. But we all know that Gypsy has made a lot of money since her prison release, and she's definitely not in need.
At the core of this whirlwind is Gypsy's apparent fear of being alone. Ken's reappearance offered her a new sense of security, a fresh anchor to cling to. Once she felt confident in his commitment, Ryan became little more than a footnote in her story. For Ryan, the betrayal must have stung. He likely thought their marriage was built on something real. But as soon as Ken was back, Gypsy didn't hold back, leaving Ryan blindsided and scrambling to make sense of it all. Her reasoning? Gypsy claimed their lives were heading in different directions, and hers had aligned with Ken's. On the surface, it sounds like a tidy explanation, but let's be honest, it reeks of calculation. Gypsy knew exactly what she wanted and didn't hesitate to act. Meanwhile, Ryan was left to deal with the fallout of a marriage that, in hindsight, seemed doomed from the start. Now, with their divorce finalized and no spousal support involved, Gypsy is free to focus fully on her future with Ken. The legal drama is behind her, and it seems she's ready to move on without looking back.
It's not about him. It's not about me. It's not about Ken. It's about this baby. This baby is innocent in all of this. This baby didn't ask to be brought into the situation. So the grown-up thing to do would be for the both of us to stop this tit-for-tat game and go our separate ways. Like, I'm happy in my life with Ken. We're expecting a baby. He can have a girlfriend. I don't care. I'm happy for him. But for me, it's kind of like, don't sit there and then constantly be like, she's my wife. I can talk about her all I want. She's my wife. She's my wife. She's my wife. Well, looking at that video, that's my husband. That's my husband. He's slapping some girl's ass. That's my husband. What I'm saying is 2 wrongs don't make a right. So, with that being said, this is the last time I'm talking about him on social media. I'm not going to talk about Ryan, and I would hope that he would give me the respect, or if he doesn't respect me, please respect my child, because my child doesn't deserve all this chaos. And that's the way I feel about it. Like, I want us all to be at peace with the situation and, like, move on.
Gypsy's recent media tour, especially her book Promo Blitz, has been all about curating a picture-perfect narrative. Her, Ken, and their soon-to-arrive baby wrapped in the glow of a wholesome family vibe. But here's the kicker. Is this heartwarming storyline as authentic as it seems, or just a clever PR move to secure her image? Let's unpack it. Gypsy isn't just embracing motherhood, she's making her pregnancy the centerpiece of her public persona, tying it tightly to her relationship with Ken. But look closer, and the strategy becomes clear. It seems she's using the baby as an anchor to keep Ken firmly in the picture. Imagine the fallout if Ken were to announce a split now, with Gypsy just weeks away from giving birth. The public would eat him alive, and Gypsy appears to know exactly how to turn that timing into her ace.
Gypsy absolutely manipulated Ken through the prison confessions on Lifetime into reaching back out to her and starting up a new relationship. She claims that Ken was the one who chased her and came back to her, but we know from watching the prison confessions that Gypsy made it very clear that she was still resentful over this relationship, that she thought that the reason why him and her had broken up was because he couldn't handle the public attention. This was her telling him that she wanted him to reach back out, or trying to manipulate him into doing so. Everything she does is very calculated so that she can achieve the goal that she is trying to achieve.
How did you enter back into the picture when Gypsy got out of prison? Did you watch our episode with Gypsy when you got brought up? Were you kind of out there kind of feeling a certain way? And then what prompted you to reach back out and start this beautiful relationship back up?
Well, I think at first I had seen her Lifetime doc, Prison Confessions, where she talked about me like towards the end and like displayed some feelings about our separation and talked about how it ended, and it wasn't fully accurate. So like it kind of broke my heart to see her cry and see her have this description of how our relationship ended. It made me just want to like set the record straight and like let her know like what the real reasons were at the time. And this is going back 5 years ago, and so that kind of like prompted me to reach out. But it was more just like, hey, I'm happy to see you out. I'm happy to see you smiling. I'm happy to see you thriving. I wish you the best. And that was like the initial point of contact.
It's being reported that Gypsy's pregnancy is now considered high risk and complicated, and we all know what that means. Ken can't just walk away now, not when Gypsy's using this situation to her advantage. By constantly reminding Ken that any stress or drama could jeopardize her health and the baby's, she's got him exactly where she wants him. Let's face it, no man wants to be held responsible for something like that.
Someone proved to me that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a very, very high-risk pregnancy. The reason why is unknown to me, but I've been told that she has been using her being a high-risk pregnancy against Ken. So even though they're not together, and they still currently are not together, he's around. They don't live together. He's not staying at Christy's house like he was before. But Gypsy says that she doesn't need the stress for the baby's sake, and she's a high-risk pregnancy, so he doesn't want to stress her out. Child, but they still are not together. But she is definitely holding that baby over Ken's head. Is that news? No, because we know she's a grifter. She always has to be the victim. But this has been confirmed through a source. So I'm not unsure about this, y'all. Y'all could take this or leave it however you want. But it is what it is.
So, for now, at least, Ken is stuck. But is this shocking? Not really. If you follow Gypsy's journey, you know she's been through the ringer. And one thing's clear, she knows exactly how to play the victim. It's almost like a survival tactic for her. If Ken were to make the mistake of walking away, Gypsy would have no problem painting him as the villain. And let's be real, public sympathy would likely swing in her favor, especially with her being pregnant.
The abuser wants to have complete control over you, and we've already seen that in Gypsy's behavior towards Ken. She wants complete control over him, and this is what I think is happening with Ken. Your partner can be so overly codependent on you that even the mere thought of you going to work has them spinning out of control, thinking that you're going to be at said job, cheating on them with some other person. So like, they won't even allow you to work because they are obsessed with the idea that if you are out of their sight in any way, shape, or form, that you're going to cheat. I think that's what's going on with Ken and Gypsy. I think she is so incredibly insecure to have him out of her sight that she is keeping him so close to her that she is literally smothering him with love and obsession. So another thing that I wanted to mention is that narcissists do not view people as people. They view people as conquests, things to achieve. So we all know that Ken broke up with her while she was in prison. Well, this detrimented her ego, and it deflated her ego to the point where she was obsessed with not him, but getting him back, just so she could raise her self-worth by having this man. She doesn't necessarily love him. She loves the idea of having him because in her mind, she believes that he is the best that she can do. I mean, look at her and look at him. And I don't want to really bring Ryan into this a lot because I feel like Ryan is a good guy and was manipulated by Gypsy as well. But he's not the best looking man. He is a nice, sweet gentleman. And I feel like he really did care about Gypsy. But again, narcissists do not view people as people. They view them as conquest, objects, things to be had.
And don't forget, she's been dropping hints about this whole situation for a while. Back in July, when she first revealed her pregnancy, she told People magazine something very telling. She said, "I'm not going to say the baby will help our marriage. There's definitely going to be arguments too. But Ken and I both come from divorced families, and we agreed from the start that we're sticking together for the long haul. We don't want our child to grow up in a broken home." Now, let's break that down. Gypsy's essentially telling Ken and the world that he has no choice but to stay. She's playing the broken home card, guilt-tripping him into sticking around for their child. She's planting the idea in the public's mind that if Ken leaves, he'll be the bad guy, abandoning his kid to grow up without both parents. And don't for a second think that's an accident. Gypsy even mentioned something along those lines on Nick V's podcast, saying she didn't want her pregnancy to trap Ken or force him into proposing. But let's be honest, this is classic reverse psychology. By claiming she didn't want to pressure him, she's subtly doing just that, making it all but impossible for him to back out. It's a calculated move, and it's working.